Everybody, welcome to my channel, Be Free Now with Maria. Today, I want to share a self-love exercise. Now, self-love exercises are very simple in nature, but can feel very awkward, and they can be done in many different ways. And the reason why I say it can feel awkward is because sometimes, right, if we're not used to saying nice things to ourselves or even saying I love you to ourselves, it can feel really weird. And I'm not talking about it's like, oh, I did a great job. I'm talking about like really speaking nicely to ourselves when we remember something that maybe we're not too proud of or wish we hadn't done, or I have some form of regret towards, right? In other words, like, oh, we were very snappish with somebody and we're a little embarrassed about it now, right? So those are the moments where it's hard to feel, like, yeah, we want to say something nice to ourselves because we're feeling shame and we're feeling regret, and we're not, feeling like we want to love ourselves in that moment, right? Because we don't love that we did that. But just because we don't love that we did something doesn't mean, right, that there is no reason to give ourselves love, even when thinking of such a moment. In other words, right, we can love ourselves through the good, bad, ugly, indifferent, and so forth, and know that regardless of how we're showing up in that particular moment, we are still beautiful people. In other words, we may get lost, we may forget, we may get worried and act out and so forth, but that doesn't change our essence. It's separate. It's two separate things. Our essence is always pure and beautiful, and our ego is what gets carried away with its five senses and starts to, spaz out. But our essence is pure and beautiful, and the idea that there's even a separation creates conflict within ourselves. So it's important to know that no, we only think that we're separated from our true essence, but we are not. That essence is always there. And when we practice self-love, even in the midst of something that we're not so proud of or we wish we didn't do, we are able to unify the parts of us that feel separate. In other words, like there's this good part of us, there's this bad part of us. No. There's this pure essence. That's all there is. And all else, it's just how do I say it? Like a confusion, because we've gotten caught up with the ego. But let there be no confusion. Your pure essence is beautiful, pure love. So the exercise goes like this. You think of a moment where you did something or said something that, yeah, you maybe not too proud of or wish you had not done or wish you had not said. And you bring that back to memory. So you choose a quiet space, you close your eyes, you bring back that memory to the forefront, and you bring your mature, wiser self in to the scene as well. That's the part of you that is able to make certain decisions and make certain things happen for yourself, even if it's just finding the energy to wake up and go and face the day. You bring that part of yourself in as well to say I love you to that other part of yourself that is feeling embarrassed, regretful, and any other negative emotion. So, right, you have these two parts, and you bring this part in, right, the wiser, more mature part of yourself, to support that part. So in other words, this part will come in and say to this part, I love you. I love you. That's it. Very simple. Just repeat, I love you, as many times as you feel you want to, until you're feeling that love. Really, it's what it comes down to, right? So you can say it 3 times, you can say it 5 times, you can say it 10 times, but the point of it is, right, as many times as you want to, where this part of yourself is feeling loved, is feeling that support from this part of yourself, right? So you're bringing one part to support another part and to say I love you to it. Now, you may notice that you may want to say more. That's okay. If this part of yourself wants to say more to this part, then go ahead. But you don't really have to. You can keep it really simple and just say, I love you. But you're also going to notice that you may feel really uncomfortable saying I love you, and it may feel really awkward or really not authentic because, well, I do love you, but I don't love that you did that. And again, we're, separating parts here. So yeah, even though you don't love the act, what you're ultimately saying is, I love you. I love you no matter what. I love you if you said something that maybe wasn't too kind. I love you if you did something that you regret now. I love you no matter what. That's really what it's about. It's unconditional love for that part that is feeling heavy, ashamed, and so forth, or regretful, or like I said, any other emotion that I'm not thinking of right now. So if it ultimately is extremely too hard and really uncomfortable, then notice that, no judgments. It's like, wow, I'm really having a hard time with that. Oh my goodness, look at this. That's it. Oh my goodness, look at this. It's just awareness. And then say to yourself, I am willing to learn to love myself. I am willing to learn to love myself. I am willing to learn to love myself. And you say that over and over and over again. And not only in that moment, but throughout the day. So write it down so that you can repeat it to yourself every single day as many times as you can, so that this is something that you're telling yourself, right? So that you can start programming yourself in that direction. Because if this is something that you want, right, then you want to state it. You want to say it to yourself. You want to say it out loud. I am willing to learn to love myself. And over time, you start to see that, yeah, you've been saying it to yourself and you want to see it manifest itself. You want to see it come to fruition. You want to be able to learn to do this. And you will then challenge yourself to lots more exercises that brings you closer to learning how to love yourself. So before I end, I want to pick a word from my bag of words and see what else I'm inspired to share with you in this moment. All right, so let's see, what do we have? Courage. Oh, I love that. Courage. Now, yes, we need courage. We need courage when we're going to sit with the parts of ourselves that we're not so comfortable with or we're not so proud of. We need courage, but we have that courage innately within us. So when we affirm, I am willing to learn, we connect with that courage. We cultivate that courage within us. And we do it, right? Like I said, we're going to work our way up to it, because if we're claiming it, we eventually want to see it manifest itself. And it takes a lot of courage to be able to sit with those parts of us, right, that we're not so proud of or that we regret, wish we hadn't done, and so forth. But, or, think now, man, what was I thinking? How could I do such a thing? We did it. We were doing the best we could. That's really what it was about, right? If we could have done better, we would have done better. If we were in better space. So it's not really about, by the way, when I say if we could have done better, we would have done better. It's not that we don't know better. We may consciously know better, but in that moment, we got caught up with the ego. And that's part of being human. So when we're being gentle with ourselves and say, hey, I'm doing the best that I can, then yeah, that's true. Doesn't mean that we didn't know better. It just was the best that we can do in that particular moment in time. So being gentle with ourselves matter, and tapping into that courage is really, really important. But remember, this is just an exercise to try something different, to step out of our comfort zone, and yes, to feel some uncomfortability and to change the way that we're doing things on the daily basis, right? Incorporate something new that's going to help us expand and grow. So I hope that helps and that you find your courage. Bye for now. Have a beautiful day.